PGS Talks 6, and please keep your microphone off. In this PGS Talks, we are very honored to invite Sophie Charrois to give a keynote speech. She will talk about the from perspective to pathway, how the voice of youth can change the future of higher education. Sophie Charrois is the co-president of Oikos International. After graduating with a master's in strategic leadership towards sustainability, she stepped into the role of stewarding the global community of student change agents for sustainability in management and economics education at Oikos. Sophie is fascinated and inspired by living streams, transformation, and human-centered leadership. She's well connected and known for asking curious questions in the field of sustainability and higher education, and for sharing stories about the student experience. Sophie is a board member of UN Crime and the GRLI, and a supervisor board member of the Positive Impact Reading. Now let's listen to the keynote speech from Sophie. Please, Sophie, I will left to the.
Thank you so much, Marco. And yes, I'm so much more than just that. I think we all are. And actually, as this is about perspectives, I would ask you to either turn on your camera for the beginning or actually just listen attentively and give me a sign in the chat, because I would love to start with a question to everyone. And the question is, who of us here in the Zoom room has ever felt like our perspective didn't count, or at least wasn't important enough to be heard during our studies? Well, it can be that you already graduated or you're still a student. That's not so important, but just quickly raise your hands if you ever felt like your perspective was missing. I don't see all of you, but there's some signs in the chat popping up. And I believe there's some lucky ones in here, of course, some might be sleeping. And yet the majority of students out there I've been talking to, and also when I look at my own experience, actually has not being able to express themselves or not being able to contribute actively to their own education. And that's a pity, in particular in our times. Well, I'm here with you today to share a little about why we at Oikos, our student community, believe that it is super critical that students all around the world get a voice, and how powerful that voice can be when it comes to claiming ownership of your own education and changing it for the better. Well, I think what brought most of us here today is that we all see the urgency, right, of our sustainability challenges and the massive uncertainty that comes with it. It is pretty clear that we cannot move on like this. And I think it's also pretty clear that you will be the ones sooner or later to take the decisions on the course of humanity itself. Now, what's the role of higher education in this? And isn't it meant to prepare us for that world? When we look at it from a wider perspective, we see that for a long time, higher education has been constructing a world that is quite far from the reality out there, and that has been missing out on so much perspective in general. Everyone who entered university pretty surely ended up in silos. We're digging holes and lose sight of the bigger picture and of what actually counts in life. This is not to say that theoretical frameworks are unnecessary, but we very often keep confusing the map with the territory. And it's kind of the same story in business, right? So what does that actually mean, and what does actually happen when perspective goes missing? Well, I brought you a little video today, and it's from the movie Inside Out, where we observe the emotional life of the little girl Riley. At some point, the emotions get into conflict, and they lose the memory of joy. And I think we can all agree that that's an important one. In the scene I will show you, you see how joy, sadness, and an imaginary friend move through Riley's long-term memory in order to find the missing piece. They are in a hurry, so they decide to take a shortcut through abstract thought, a space that strips away dimension and perspective. But see yourself.
After you.
Joy,
What?
well, I read about this place in the manual. We shouldn't go in there.
Bing Bong says it's the quickest way to headquarters.
No, but Joy, this is abstract thought.
What are you talking about? I go in here all the time. It's a shortcut, you see? DANGER, shortcut. I'll prove it to you. Look at me. I'm closer to the station because I'm taking the shortcut.
Let's go around. This way.
Almost there.
If you want to walk the long way, go for it. But Riley needs to be happy. I'm not missing that train. Bing Bong knows what he's doing. He's part dolphin. They're very smart.
Well, I guess.
What I tell you, you'll be at headquarters in no time.
Oh!
Hey, would you look at that?
Whoa! What's happening?
No, they turned it on.
Ah, never seen this before. My face! My beautiful face! Oh.
What is going
We're
on?
abstracting. There are 4 stages. This is the first. Non-objective fragmentation.
All right, do not panic. What is important is that we all stay together. Oh!
We're in the second stage. We're deconstructing.
Ah! I can't feel my legs! Oh, there they are.
Come here, me.
We gotta get out of here before we're nothing but shape and color. We'll get stuck here forever.
Doug, why do we come in here?
I told you! It's a shortcut!
The train!
Oh no, we're 2-dimensional. That's stage 3.
We're getting nowhere!
Depth! I'm lacking depth!
Come on! We can't fit!
Oh no, we're non-figurative. This is the last stage.
We're not gonna make it!
Wait, we're 2-dimensional. Fall on your face.
Well, long story short, in the end, they get back home in time with lots of learnings, and Riley can be happy again. What I wanted to show you with this is how dangerous it actually can be if we reduce and abstract life and reality up to a point where we find ourselves unable to move. Let me throw a hypothesis here. Maybe that's why so much of our formal education doesn't land. Maybe that's why so many of the very elaborate plans don't work out in the end. If we take out perspectives, and that might be the perspectives of a different group or different contexts in general, if we move things out of the richness of the contexts that surround them, things get flat, and soon we can't move anywhere anymore. Getting a straightforward plan together with only some of us, and mostly just the people in power, well, that seems to be smart in the face of the urgency of our climate crisis. And yet, this shortcut might lead us nowhere. Well, this is actually then also to say that our mission goes far beyond our own education. And it's not the mission to bring back happiness, probably, but it is the mission to contribute and enable the deep shifts we need right now. And it needs, of course, all of us in it. This also goes to the faculty in the room. The perspective of students is one that has been missing for a long time, just as much as the voice of many other marginalized groups. It's a history of power and a history of discrimination that just doesn't serve us anymore. So now, what happens actually when you speak up? Let me bring this back to your roles as students and allies in making shifts in your own education. How can you start to break this cycle and tend to spaces where more perspective can come in to enable a more sustainable future? Your own perspective actually is a very, very powerful starting point. And I want to leave you with two important ingredients we at Oikos found helpful on the way. And these are attention to context and leaning into courage. Actually, I would rather say multiple contexts here. What is happening around you? Which contexts do play a role in your quest? What is the culture on campus and in your country in general? Who would listen to you and is open to new perspective? Who is already working on the change you want to see? And where are things actually ready to move on? And what language do you have to speak to make your point? What tools can help you to get the message across in your own environment? One of our student groups in Barcelona actually had a strong sense that the student voice wasn't heard enough on campus and that they had something to say about what and how they wanted to learn. They had a look at how their school is functioning and they chose the positive impact rating to communicate the different perspectives of the students. In the end, that was the tool that opened many doors. Right now, they're in a continuous process of reshaping their own education together with their faculty. One door opened the next, and it surely wasn't the detail in the particular of what happened on their campus that made this possible. And of course, standing up is not easy. I guess independent of where we are, we all have to take a heart to do something we've never done before. It needs courage and trust on this journey. And where can we find these other than actually in our gut or in community with people who are working on the same thing or walking in the same direction? Well, in places like oikos or PGS or Prime. Courage enables us to write our own ending. And isn't that what the world needs so urgently? So let me stop sharing for the last seconds and actually leave you with some sparks of encouragement. Your perspective as students have such a power when it comes to crafting the pathways towards our future. And there's many people out there who are ready to listen and walk together. And if you're a professor or faculty member, please help us open these doors and let's move forward with more perspective. But thank you for being here with me today. And I actually would love to hear from some of your perspectives in the chat.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you for your great talks. And I really enjoyed the videos and also like the talks. Like, I think it really makes sense. And now actually we are like coming to a break. So we will have a 10 minutes break of this session. And then we will jump into next PGS talks. Okay, so now let's please please send some the links to our a chart, and then please jump to that another room, and we will see you there soon. Okay, thank you, Sophie. Thank you again, and we see you soon. Okay, bye bye, everyone. Have a break, 10 minutes break, and come back soon. Okay, bye bye.